Hi, my name is Aaron Collins, and I'd like to welcome you to a new show called One-on-One with Aaron Collins. Today I have some very special guests. I have Shilo Young and her mother, Shilo Young. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you guys doing?
Doing okay.
Doing okay? Well, thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to have you guys today because I want you to tell your story. And before we get to the meat and potatoes of why you're here, let's talk a little bit about you. So tell us your name and how old you are and a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Shilo Young. I'm 22 years old. I'm 4'3", and I love cats and dogs. I'm a big anime fan. That's all I watch is anime and Vampire Diaries.
Ah.
I like every music except for rap. Can't stand rap.
Are you a rock fan?
Depends who it is.
Okay. Now, do you have a cat and dog at home?
Yes, I do. I have a 5-month-old fox terrier who's been stealing stuff. Who's good at taking hair ribbons out.
Oh, lovely.
She mastered that. And my cat, who's 8 years old, is sick right now, so we're going to take him to the vet.
Uh-oh.
So,
What's wrong?
we don't know. He has 8 for 4 days now, and he's been hiding. You don't know what's wrong with him, so.
Oh, geez. So, Shilo, were you born and raised here in Gresham?
I was born in Guam.
Okay.
I lived there for 2 years. Then we moved to Arizona.
California first.
Oh, California. Then Arizona. Then here in Oregon. I lived in Oregon City until I was 10 years old. Then I moved to my grandma's. And we've been in Gresham since I was 10.
And do you have any, you probably don't have any recollection of Guam, of course.
No.
Because you were so young. And then what was Arizona and California like for you?
I was so young. I don't even remember.
Yeah. And so you lived in Oregon City for 10 years?
No, till I was 10.
Till you were 10.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a beautiful city, too. It's old. A lot of history out there.
Yes, we lived right by what river was that called?
Willamette?
Willamette Falls.
No, that river.
Oh,
that
Clackamas.
Clackamas River that floods a lot.
Okay. Yeah. That's not a good place to be,
No,
though.
we lived on a big hill, so it's kind of fun when it snowed.
Oh.
So,
And so you are 22 years old.
yes.
And did you graduate from Gresham, or where did you go to school?
Well, I went to Springwater, and I graduated a semester early.
Oh, wow. Is that by choice, or that just happened that way, or?
Well, I was sick a lot, and I was supposed to have surgery early, so that's why I got everything done the first semester. So just in case. But we did it after I graduated.
Gotcha.
So,
Did you have a particular study that you enjoyed more than any others?
math.
Really?
Yes. I'm in calculus too.
Really?
Yes.
See, math was always my hardest subject. And so when my kids who are in, well, 2 of them in grade school and then, 2 in high school need help with math, it's not me. Let me tell you. I'm like, So,
Reading sucks for me.
reading does?
Yes. Because everything gets backwards, like my B's and D's and my P's and other stuff.
Dyslexia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so, and then what about after high school? Have you taken college courses, or is that something you're thinking about doing?
I want to take college, but I wasn't released till a few months ago to go to college because I get sick way too easy.
Released from?
Cincinnati Children's Hospital
Okay.
after my airway surgery I had.
Wow.
And because in high school I had pneumonia like 50 times.
Wow. No exaggeration?
No.
Wow.
Because
How hard was that?
I missed so much school. I'm surprised I didn't get kicked out.
I'm sure they were understanding, though, weren't they, somewhat?
Springwater was. Because there's only 145 kids, and that was
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that school. It's pretty. It's fairly new, isn't it? Like over the last 10 years, or?
it. Been there since 2002.
Okay, yeah, all right. And then, speaking of school and high school, Shilo and I went to high school together, and my wife as well. The 3 of us went to school together, and you guys were a little behind me, but So tell us a little bit about you. You graduated high school, and then what did you do?
Well, I worked in the bars, and I went to Guam. And I met Ashley's dad. I got married. He was a military guy, and we lived there for 4 years. And then we came back stateside and lived in California, and then got divorced. So I went to Arizona.
Wow.
And then came back here to Gresham.
What led you to Arizona?
My mom lived there.
Oh, okay.
So while my divorce was going final, I lived there in Arizona for a year.
Wow. And then back to Gresham, and then
Back to Gresham.
So you've been here ever since, in a sense.
Well, yeah, in a sense. We
Yeah.
lived in Oregon City.
Right.
And then back to Gresham, yes.
Gotcha. And so tell me a little bit about the first time you learned of Ashley's disorder. And before you tell us what it is, how did you learn about it? What led to the doctor saying, okay, there's something going on, or you saying there's something going on?
First instinct was her first night that she was born. When they came in and she said that she'd had a couple seizures, and they had told me that they didn't know that she was going to survive the night. And so they wanted to do some tests. And so that was the first. And she was sick as a child, but she grew normal, and she seemed okay. She stopped growing when she was like almost 2 years of age, and then she completely stopped growing. And then we noticed like her hands wouldn't close. They wouldn't open, make a fist, and that her, when she should have been learning to talk, she could only say very few words, and she wasn't hearing, nor was she speaking at normal levels.
Wasn't hearing at normal levels
Yeah.
either? Wow.
So she still has tubes in her ears.
Okay. Is it like the tubes that'll help drain for ear infections?
Yeah, she had a lot of ear infections.
And you still have those in your ears now today?
Yeah.
How often do you have to have those replaced?
Well, these ones are the permanent ones. Well,
They are the permanent ones?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
When I was younger, I had ones like when I was 5 years old for 10 years. Like they haven't fallen out yet. They're supposed to fall out after the first year.
Wow.
So, I guess my body's like, no.
Wow, jeez. So you've had quite a few things happen early on before you really realized or found out what was causing all this. And so at what time did you find out or realize, okay, something else is going on? Why is this happening? What was that like, and how did you find out?
When we were in Arizona, when we noticed that she stopped growing, they started taking full body x-rays. And they came, and the radiologist has said that they thought she had some form of mucopolysaccharidosis.
What is that?
A mucopolysaccharidosis is a lysosomal storage disease.
Okay.
And it's the kind of disorders where your body's missing an enzyme that makes things work.
Okay.
So basically, what you could say, if you said that everything that works was like a light switch, whether your eyes, your seeing, your growth, everything was like a switch. Okay, with these type of disorders, they start storing, they're storage diseases. And so as things store, things stop working. And so that's kind of like how you would say that like a light switch,
Right.
and things change in the body.
And so how did you come to the realization that she has the disorder she has? How did that come about?
Well,
you had a hand in that, from what I understand.
Yeah. Well, when she was 3 years old, we came back here. There was Shriners Children's Hospital. So we started the long process of seeing geneticists. We saw orthopedic surgeons. We saw metabolic storage diseases. And so she had all kinds of tests that we were testing for the mucopolysaccharidosis. And the mucopolysaccharidosis, they die as children. Wow. So they did like fibroblast tests where they would sit there and go into the bone, where they even took cartilage out of her waist, her pelvis, blood test, and she was negative for all those tests, but yet she had all the symptoms of a mucopolysaccharidosis. And so when she was 8 years old, I was really frustrated with the geneticist. I was really mad because, when they tell you that your child is going to die at a young age, and the doctors are, you want to know what you're dealing with.
Right.
And so the geneticist had given me a few words. Okay, well, look these things up, keywords. And so I spent months and months researching, and I came up with 3 disorders. One was giluliophasic dysplasia, and acromegaly and larian-pleosteosis. And so I wrote the geneticist an email and said, hey, I think Ashley's got this. He's like, no, I think it's this. I go, I think it's this. He goes, go to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. So we took Angel flights. We went there to see the specialist, and she has giluliophasic dysplasia.
Okay, now that is amazing to me. First of all, that you that you were able to narrow it down to, was it 3?
3.
And really, it's because of you that they were able to figure out and do the right testing for GD. I can't pronounce it, so I'm going to just call it GD. So kudos to you. I mean, that had to have been very frustrating to have a doctor tell you, well, here's some keywords, go look it up, and just kind of leave the ball in your court, and then you taking the time to really do a lot of research. How did you go about doing this research? Was it all done online?
It was all done online. Yeah, so I spent a lot of times like in the National Library of Medicine and in all the genetic sites. So I would sit there and put keywords. I mean, like short stature, heart defects, and because of, when we would go to Shriners, when they would write, you got hypertelorism, you know what I mean? They would speak about what your features are, and there's medical terms for each of these things.
Wow.
So in my search, so I got short stature, heart defects, this kind of feature, this kind of feature, this kind of feature. And so you just adding them up, and then you start getting a list of diseases. So then I would go into each disease, and then I'd click on it, and then I would look at it. And obviously, known by the symptoms, I would know right away, well, yeah or nay.
Right.
And so I would go through disease after disease after disease. It took me months going through each one and looking at all the symptoms. And when all of them seemed to match, which is acromegaly, gilulio, and larian-pleosteosis, those actually, they matched.
Wow. Now so it took you several months to really narrow it down. And how often were you doing the research? Was this every day? And I imagine you were probably, being a single mom at this time, or were you at the time?
Well, I was I was with Walt. So I spent 18 and a half years with Walt. And so Walt and I were together. Mm-hmm. And during that time, I spent most of my time online researching. So unfortunately, I kind of ignored everything around me.
Sure.
Including him.
Well, you had a goal.
I had a goal, and I was fixated, and I was going for it. After a while, I stopped learning how to have normal conversations because all I kept thinking was, fibrocollagenous material. Oh, mitochondrial.
Wow.
And then nobody wanted to hear me talk because I stopped having normal conversations, and all I wanted to do was talk about genetics. I was learning how the bones work. I was learning how the cartilage works.
Wow.
And unless you're a medical personnel, it's kind of boring, I think.
Right. My gosh, what determination and diligence. Obviously being a parent, I understand. I would do whatever it took. And you did. And so, I admire you for that. That's a long time. So a lot of research, a lot of your time was trying to figure out, okay, what's going on with my daughter? Why is this happening? We need to find something. Were the doctors just throwing the ball into your court and saying, you do it? Or were they also doing things at the same time?
They were definitely doing it. But I was so frustrated. And when when you don't know if your child's going to die, you want to know. You want to know everything about it.
Sure.
And the other room.
We did this, probably so I could help research, number one. And number two, I really learned to value him. That I realized how hard it really is to diagnose somebody. It's not easy.
Yeah. And
so when other people get mad at their geneticists because they're not coming up with answers, in order to diagnose, you have to fit all the symptoms. Mm. You know what I mean? If you have even a couple variations, it changes the whole disease. And so I really learned to respect what those geneticists do. It is not easy.
Wow. And during this time, how old were you, Ashley, when she was doing all this research?
8.
Around
8 years old. So do you remember her going through and doing all this? And
Yeah.
what was that like for you? You obviously you were going through your own health issues, but what was it like? Mom's constantly speaking a foreign language.
Well, I couldn't understand it when I was younger, but when I was like, Mom, I'm hungry, she's on the computer and researching. And when I didn't feel good, I always slept by her. And one night, I was reading so hard, you can hear me from the living room.
Wow.
And well, it's like, go check on your daughter. You can hear her breathing. That was before they took my adenoids and tonsils out.
Wow. So your mom was busy doing the research. You're not feeling well. You're just up and down all the time with your health. How did this, before we get back to what you found and how that came about, but what was life like for you as a normal girl, 8-year-old girl at the time? What was your life like for you?
Okay, I guess I missed a lot of school because I was really sick. So I was there maybe 1/4 of the time.
Wow.
Because I was so sick and pneumonia and barely see your friends. Because when someone's sick, then I got sick.
Yeah.
And I still cough. The teachers just kicked me out of their classroom because they don't want me to bug the other students.
Wow. Did you feel like you were, in a sense, separated from everybody else because of all this?
For the most part, yes.
How did it make you feel inside? Did you feel alone?
It's not fair because they don't know what I'm going through, and it's like, not my fault I'm coughing. It's not my fault this is going on. Why are you taking it all on me?
Yeah. And how are the other kids toward you?
It depends on some kids. Some kids understood, some didn't. They called me words, small and other stuff that I didn't like in middle school because everyone was a lot taller than I was.
Yeah.
I was like 3 feet and 9 inches at the time. And just this small person walking around, everyone, for the most part, was making fun of me.
Wow. How'd that make you feel?
Really sad and depressed because you're trying to fit in and you really couldn't because everyone was taller and they did their own thing. That's why I went on the dance team, that's why I did basketball and stuff like that. But
Now, did you have any close friends that you could rely on and kind of lean on and have come over and hang out, or?
not till 8th grade when I had
grade.
Skylar. Skylar's my best friend.
Skylar?
Yeah.
And Skylar, boy, girl?
Boy.
Okay. Because it could go both ways, so that's why I had to ask. And you two are still friends today?
Oh yeah, we've been friends for 12 years now.
Wow, that's great.
And yeah, I haven't been going over there lately because I've been sick, but we still hang out and talk and whatnot.
That's awesome. And so how's your friend Skylar? Does he just treat you like just a
Normal person.
normal person? So there is no GD. There's
Nothing.
Ashley, my friend.
Yep.
See, I think that's awesome. One of the things that I've always believed in is we shouldn't let things like diseases, disorders, things like that define us as people, because that's not who we are. I have a spinal disease, but that doesn't define me as a person. I am who I am. You are who you are. And I think that's important for people to hear and to understand. What if you could tell somebody that's watching today, give them some advice on how to treat someone else that has a disorder, what would you say to them?
Not everyone's short because they're short. There's something wrong with them. They could have a disorder. They could have dwarfism or something else. Stop calling them little or midget. I don't like that word. But say, oh, there's something wrong with them. What could it be? Because it's not fair calling them small because they're never going to grow any taller. It's not fair. Because we're normal. Our personalities are normal like you and Mom and everyone else.
Yeah.
We're just smaller.
I think that's great advice. I think too many people are just mean, unfortunately. And so I think it's important that you voice your opinion and tell people how you feel. Because, you know, I got to tell you, I got to spend some time with you guys before doing the show, and I really like who you are as a person. And that's what people need to do, is spend time. That's the most valuable thing we can give somebody, is our time. And be respectful, you know? And so Mom, being a parent and going through all this with your daughter, how did it make you feel as a parent? You know, you see your daughter's depressed. She's not having any friends at the time. You're doing all this research because you had that one goal in mind. I've got to find out what's wrong so we can get this fixed. And so what was going through your mind at the time? Did you take care of yourself? Did you think about yourself at all? Or did you just have one thing on your mind?
Well, in the younger years, you know, when I didn't believe in God, it all was devastating to me. I really didn't take care of myself. All I could think of is my daughter was dying. My daughter was dying. I kept it from her. I did not tell her about the disorder she had, nor did I tell her that she could die. Wow. I kept it from her because there was no sense in telling her to depress her. So I kept that to myself, and so I spent a lot of time in my younger years just bawling and crying, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, I didn't really have any family support, and I really didn't have any friends. You know, there was... and Walt was great with me. He, you know, allowed me to talk to him a lot, and, you know, and he gave me the support there. But other than that, I mean, there was nothing. I was falling apart.
What did you do?
Cried. I isolated myself. I stopped exercising. I mean, stopped taking care of myself. I was just so overwhelmed. And then every time Ashley got sick, because they, you know, I know with this disorder that they die by respiratory illness and cardiac involvement. So every single time that she got sick, I was terrified. I was terrified that she was going to die. And it was horrible. And all I would do is sit there and think all the time in my head, my daughter's dying. My daughter's going to die. And it's like, this hurts too much. You know, I kept thinking, I don't know if I want to live, you know, if I lose my daughter. And that's how my younger years was. Wow. I mean, it was really hard. And then I became a Christian, and actually I think it was 10 or 11. God chased after me because he knew that I certainly wasn't chasing after him.
Right.
And it made things a lot easier. I mean...
Did it open a whole new world to you?
It did, because then I learned to pray, and then saw so many different healing miracles for Ashley. I mean, we're talking about major. Wow. I mean, like, her legs were 2 different sizes. We prayed, God made her legs, her fibulas and her tibias, the exact same size. I mean, she'd had 1 tumor removed. I mean, it was a huge tumor. And then we went back to Shriners, and she had another tumor. God made that one go away. Wow. It was about the size of a quarter. And from one x-ray to the next, it was gone.
Wow.
I mean, the other thing is that one day, you know, she had pneumonia really bad, both viral and bacterial pneumonia. She sounded like a wash machine, and it was horrible. And so every day we kept going to the hospital. We didn't want to keep her in the hospital because the chance for catching something over that would kill her.
Right.
And then the next day, there was no sounds in her lungs, and their doctor goes, okay, I've never seen this. She goes, medical science cannot have done this. She was crystal clear in her lungs.
Wow.
And then there was another time it sounded like her appendix was going out. She had all the symptoms, and the blood test said that her appendix was going out. And of course, you know, we brought it to God, and we prayed and prayed and prayed, and the doctor comes in and says, my heart and mind says, do not operate on this child. We found out she had a bleeding disorder the next day.
The doctor said that?
The doctor said his heart and mind said, do not operate on this child. All the symptoms of the appendicitis went away.
Wow.
And then the next day, because she kept having bloody noses.
Sure.
I mean, she just kept bleeding. We found out she had something wrong with her platelets. And so we did 4 different tests that said something was wrong with her blood. Well, of course, we take it to God and prayed and prayed and prayed. 5th test, when they took us to the cancer center, her blood was fine.
Wow.
And so God showed himself to us, because my younger years, my friends were like, why don't you believe in God? I said, well, if God can save my daughter's life, then I'll believe in God.
Did you believe in anything at the time that you didn't believe in God?
I didn't really believe in anything, though, in order to try to, wanting to save my daughter's life, you kind of delve into like the occultic stuff, you get a little bit of Buddhism, you look into a little bit of shamanism, you look a little bit into Wicca. I mean, you look into everything because you want so much to save your kid's life.
Sure.
And you would do anything. But none of it made her better. I mean, there was not anything that I tried that she got not even a tiny bit better. And only God. Only turning to Jesus is the only thing. And we saw like a lot of miracle healings for her.
So it sounds like God was seeking you out. And
He was seeking me out.
All right, Shilo, enough is enough. Now it's time. And I will show you what I can do. And all you need to do is believe in me, and which is what happened with you. And so you got to see all these wonderful miracles. And so then moving forward, you find, with the help of the doctors, what the disorder is. Mm-hmm. So once you found out what it is, then how many people in the world have this disorder?
55 cases have been diagnosed, and this is around the world.
My gosh.
And most of them die as children. She's one of the oldest alive.
Wow.
I think she's, I thought she was the 7th oldest alive, but we found out that one of the older ones actually has kind of a different disorder. Uh-huh. So she's probably about the 6th oldest worldwide with it.
Wow. And how old are the next ones?
After her, let's see, there's one.
Are you the oldest, or is there one that's older than you now?
There's a male who is 31, and his sister is 26.
And they both have the disorder?
Yes.
They do.
My goodness.
Well, if I had children, my children would have my disorder.
So it's hereditary?
Yes, but Mom and my dad both had a bad gene, so I got it.
Oh, I see.
And none of our family had it.
Okay.
Unless it's been like long time ago.
Autosomal recessive, which means both me and her dad carried the same. We carried one bad gene. We each carried one bad gene.
Gosh,
what were the odds?
What are the odds?
1 out of 200 million.
200,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And now this brother and sister, what country are they
They're
from?
in Seattle.
Oh, okay, so they're local, somewhat local. Are you the only one in Oregon that has this disorder?
Yes.
Are you the only one that's ever been diagnosed with this disorder in Oregon, ever? Wow. How does that make you feel?
Kind of special. I kind of like it because I'm the only one that trips out all the doctors.
Right.
And they go through my x-rays or my CAT scans. They're like, WTF? Because they're all like confused and everything. So it's kind of fun being the only one around to my disorder.
And to know that you're one of the few in the world that have been diagnosed with this, that's got to be mind-blowing.
Yeah. I just hope they find something to make it less progressive for the younger ones. Because I don't want to go through the same thing that I went through.
Wow.
34 surgeries and...
Gosh, you got such a great heart. I think that's awesome. You're a very selfless person from what, I've come to know you as, and I think that's awesome. So have you made contact with any of these other people that have the same disorder?
Yes. One in California when we went to Senior Sinai when I was 8, and then 3-4 years ago, there was me, Josh, Haley, Tiffany. There's 4 of us, all of us together.
Wow.
Oh, they were like going, look. They were showing each other hands, and then you sit there and they put their feet in a circle. They were all checking each other out. It was,
oh my God.
It was just amazing. It was funny for us. So it was just like, oh, well, look at your elbow. Look at mine.
So with all the isolation and the depression and the feeling alone all those years, and then to find out, okay, thanks to Mom's help and the doctors figure out what it is, then you find that you're one of the rare people that have this, disorder, and then to find other people that have it and get together with them. What was that like?
Kind of cool, but there's 2 types of my disorder. There's type 1 and there's type 2.
Really?
I have type 1.
What is the difference between the type 1 and type 2?
Gliophysic dysplasia 1 has an error in the ADAMTSL2 gene.
Okay.
Okay, and gliophysic 2 has something on what they call the fibrillin 1 gene, which is the same disease that causes Marfan syndrome. The difference is that the severity.
Okay. So you're type 1?
She's type 1.
I'm type 1.
Is type 1 more severe than type 2?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes, and I'm the only one that's alive that has trichomalacia.
My gosh. So with the others that have the same type 1, now the people that you've met, do they all have the same type 1, or does it vary?
Varies. Their symptoms vary.
Okay. And is life expectancy different between the two types?
Not really. This last year we've had 3 or 4 of the littler ones die.
Oh.
And we've had the one from Alaska. She's permanently on a ventilator. So they have.
How old is she?
She's 5.
Wow.
And then a lot of them are on oxygen.
Are you also on oxygen at times, or?
Well, at the hospital and having breathing problems, yes.
She does not have a trach. She's had tracheal reconstruction.
Explain the trach. What is a trach?
A trach is your windpipe.
Okay.
It is the main breathing apparatus from the top of your mouth going into your lungs into the bronchioles.
Okay.
Okay. Ashley's a squashed. It's the size of a 1-year-old.
And so it's like an accordion squashed, or is it? What does it look like?
Like a straw, like how a straw is like squished all the way down.
Okay.
And you're trying to do a milkshake and trying to.
Right.
That's
okay.
how it is.
Okay.
For breathing, it's like trying to get that milkshake out of the straw.
Oh, I like your analogy.
And so that's the way her anatomy is made. And she was dying. And if she wouldn't have she's had 2 airway surgeries so far, and she's still in need of another one. But the doctor said that she would not have survived 2 years ago at Christmas time. She was dying.
So what were the 2 surgeries that she had already? What did that fix?
Well, the upper part of the trachea. So what they did is what they called a modified slide tracheoplasty. And that's where you take your trachea, you slice it, you put both pieces together to thicken it up, and then you take the 2 pieces and you fold it over on itself. Okay. Then they did what they call an aortopexy and a tracheopexy. And what that means is they took a fish line and they hooked it up over the aortic part of her heart. And then they also forced it open with fishing line over the sternum.
Wow.
So they did that. They took some of the bone out in her sternum and her collarbone, because part of her bone, because she's all compressed inside.
Yeah.
And so it was compressing her and making her trachea. It was squishing her trachea.
Wow.
So they had to remove the bone to let loose her trachea.
Okay.
But hers didn't bounce up. So her trachea is still squashed.
So, and that was the first 2 surgeries?
That was the first 2 surgeries.
So now the 3rd one, what do they hope to accomplish with that 3rd one?
If what she needs is the 3rd one, because the last couple weeks she has been her airway's been closing on her. So she'd be doing something, all of a sudden she's like, and put her in the hospital. And so once again, urgently going back to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and the treatment to do that, they really don't want to, because it's a really hard surgery, is to cut open her chest wall and to reconstruct the lower trachea into the bronchioles. They'd only be able to fix 1 bronchiole at a time, because obviously you need your bronchioles.
Sure, to breathe.
And her bronchioles are squashed as well.
Wow.
This is what they call tracheal bronchial malacia.
My goodness.
And the surgery will be necessary. We're hoping to actually we're leaving in 11 days to go to Cincinnati Children's Hospital for this, so she can have the evaluations.
Now this trip is just to evaluate what's going on and how maybe get a game plan on how to attack it, or
yes, it'll be a game plan because it's not just as simple as to go into someone's airplane and slice it open.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about she's got difficulties in her airways. Okay, so not only are they squashed, her airway itself is at a different angle. So it's not even a straight angle.
Wow.
Okay, so it's almost impossible to get through her vocal cords.
Oh my gosh.
And
so do they have to move the vocal cords in order to do this type of surgery, or go around it? Or?
No, well, what they've done, I mean, as you can tell, they've gone through her, they've gone through her neck.
Right down in here? Wow.
And so they can, cut open her chest, and then probably what they'll do is the same thing, take her trachea, slice it in half, put it together, fold it over.
Oh my gosh.
And pin it open. She really probably needs a transplant.
Yeah.
However, they're not surviving the transplants.
Really?
No, they've tried them with cadavers and they've tried them with stem cells.
And they didn't survive the surgeries?
Or they either don't survive the surgeries or, a very limited time afterward because it's such a high risk of infection.
Yeah.
And the scar tissue.
Okay.
Like with her, you can't put a trach in her because her trachea is not straight. So you can't put something that's straight inside because it'll
puncture.
It'll puncture it. And then so her trachea constantly, the part that's not sewn open goes like this.
Wow. So I have a couple of questions for you. What's it like, she had mentioned that your trachea will, is it start closing? What does that feel like? And are you awake at the time, or is this what happened when you're asleep, or?
It's when I'm awake. Sometimes when I'm eating or drinking something or just talking, it feels like I'm suffocating. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Takes a few minutes and then it stops spasming for a little while. Then it does.
Do you ever black out from that?
Not yet.
Not yet? That's probably good then, I think. I don't know. And then what? So you start panicking, and then
that doesn't help. When I start panicking.
So you just kind of tell yourself to relax.
Oh no, I panic.
Oh, okay.
I panic.
Okay, I think anybody would. And then you're always around when this happens, or are you?
We mostly do not leave her by herself.
Okay.
Rarely. I mean, not anymore.
And who's your other helper?
My grandma.
Your grandma?
I get my grandma.
That's awesome. And so you're very fortunate to have such loving people in your life. And
my puppy.
And your puppy?
She woke me up a couple times middle of the night because my breathing was weird. My dog woke me up a couple times.
Now, is this not a service dog? Or
Nope.
Are you training it to be a service dog?
I want to. She's 5 months old. She's a fox terrier. And for the most part, before it starts or something, she tells me, not really tells me, but
kind of lets you know.
Kind of lets me know. And when Grandma woke me up 4 days ago, when I was breathing so heavy she can hear me from her room, her and my cat ran to me, woke me up. My cat was sniffing my whole face and licking me and just looking at me weirdly. And Grandma's like, Ash, take your medicine. Because her room is about 30 feet, 40 feet away.
And so what's a typical day like for you? I know it probably varies, and you just got out of the hospital. You were in there for, 11 days?
12 days.
12 days?
Yes.
Before we get into what you went through with this one, what's a normal, typical day for you? What do you like to do? I mean...
Go to my friend's house, but their parents smoke, and sometimes it bugs me.
Oh, wow.
So I stay home, watch anime, play with my dog, do eBay or do this or that.
So I gotta ask you about the whole eBay thing. So tell me what you're doing with eBay.
I sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yes.
And so did you start by just selling your own personal collection, or did you just start, just have an eye for what's good and what's not good and buy and sell?
Well, I buy packs and I look up the shiny ones, and then you'll find the prices. Because someone was really spending $80 for that card instead of $1,000 to $1,000 and never get that card from this pack.
What? Wow.
Yes.
So
So-
have you made a little bit of money then doing this?
Yeah.
That's cool. And so, wow. So my kids love Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember that was such a huge thing in my house for so many years. And the anime thing, my older kids love a lot of that. And yours is what, Vampire Diaries?
Yeah.
Is that an anime?
No, that's
Or is that just a regular?
regular TV show.
Okay.
And Curl Minds.
What's your favorite anime?
Naruto and Inuyasha.
Are those all Japanese? Sounds Japanese.
They are Japanese, but
Yeah.
they're in English dub.
Oh, nice.
So
Very cool. So you went to the hospital for 12 days.
yes.
And what did they do for you there? Why did you have to go, and what did they do?
Well, it started with my breathing, and my shunt was acting up.
What shunt?
My lower back shunt.
Okay.
Because my brain acts like a tumor, but there's no tumor. So I
Okay.
get nauseous, blurry eyes, headaches, pressure,
Oh my goodness.
everything just like a tumor. So they put a shunt in to regulate your spinal fluid so it stays at 10 to 15
Okay.
instead of 30 to 40 where it was.
Okay.
And it was failing every 3 months because of my breathing problems. But this time, it wasn't my breathing, it was my scar tissue that took over my lower back catheter that's in my spine. It like totally destroyed it, this scar tissue, and it broke the shunt in 3 different areas. And then my stomach, it blocked it. So I was having so much problems for 3 months of walking and falling over, and dizzy, and
Wow.
then they finally did surgery and took it out. I'm starting to feel better.
Good.
So,
And they put is it a stunt in your brain?
I have a shunt in my
Or
brain.
Shunt.
That's a couple years ago, but they put a tube thing in my brain to see how high my spinal fluid was
Okay.
before and after the surgery.
Okay.
See if I still needed that shunt or not.
Wow. Boy, you've been through the ringer. And it sounds like you just continue, both of you.
Well, I had 13 brain surgeries
13?
in 2 years.
So you've had 13 brain surgeries, total of what, 34 surgeries
Yes.
over your life, and you're in store for more.
Yes.
And when you go to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital, they're going to do the evaluation. Is it possible that once they do the evaluation, they come up with a plan and you stay there? Or is it just something, okay, we're going to go do the evaluation, then we're going to go home?
It'll depend on what they see once they get into our airways. So they could do something right then and there,
Okay.
or the next day, or it could be a few weeks. But usually, the last couple times it's been within, 4 to 6 weeks, they do the major surgery. And then she has to be in the hospital for a few weeks, and we stay in Cincinnati for about a month.
Wow. And so being a single parent, how difficult is that financially to have to do things like this?
Well, it's hard. I mean, she's got insurance that pays for the procedures. Okay, but it's thousands and thousands of dollars for motel, for airfare, for all that kind of stuff. And it's hard. I mean, we've done a couple we do car washes, sell candles. I'm a professional bus driver. So I work, but I can only work according to her health or surgeries.
Sure.
I just, the last couple weeks, I worked half days during that 12 days she was in the hospital.
And is your work pretty understanding when you have to take time away because of Ashley's issues?
Yeah, they have been.
They have been?
I mean, they're well aware that her health is unpredictable,
Sure.
and they understand that her health issues can be fatal,
Yeah.
which is the truth.
Now, what have you done to supplement your income? You said something about the car washes, which that's how I first met you, was at a car wash. You guys were having a car wash. It was just a normal day, and my wife and I were driving around, and I saw the car wash, and for some reason, I just felt compelled to stop. I had to stop for whatever reason. I felt like God saying, you need to go. And which is why we stopped. I didn't even need a car wash that day, but and then that's when I met you and learned of your story, and realized you and I and my wife all went to high school together, and so have you raised quite a bit of money through the car washes?
Every one of our previous trips, this will be our 7th trip. So our previous 6 trips, our needs were met. Okay, this time, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I've got probably like $1,200. Saved toward it in 10 days.
Wow.
Or in 2 days we got to leave. So no, we don't have enough money this time around. I was able to do 1 car wash, but that's only because we only had a 4-week notice that we needed to go.
Okay.
So technically she wasn't even supposed to until May or June was going to be her next, checkup. But with her airways closing on her, and she required oxygen for 2 of those 12 days because she couldn't breathe on her own. Well, that kind of like ups the date. It's like, okay, we got to go back to Cincinnati. And Cincinnati says, get her back here.
Now, this time you're not flying.
No, she's not medically stable enough to fly. One, I mean, she just had the surgery in her brain and her side and her back. So sitting for 7 hours on an airplane 6 straight would be really hard for her. 2, the airplane pressure really bothers her shunt. And she's out of the 7 trips. She's required 5 brain surgeries afterwards within a week coming back because it messes with her shunt. The other thing is, technically when you're on an airplane, your oxygen goes lower because of the elevation, regardless of the cabin pressure. And with her oxygen playing up and down, like at the car wash we had last week, we had to stop because she was having breathing problems and her oxygen went 93. And it's like, okay, we're done.
Wow.
And so that's a bad situation. You get an airplane and her oxygen stops.
Sure.
Or
you can't just stop.
We just can't stop.
You're stuck.
And then the other thing is, she can't get sick. Right now, people are getting sick. Nothing's worse than being on an airplane. You hear people sniff, sniff, cough, 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 and I'm thinking, you kill my kid, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
And so and perfume causes her airways to shut. And so it's just easier and safer, even though it's going to take 4 days. I'm taking 4 days to drive. It's still safer for her for us to drive than her to fly.
Wow. And then you have to take oxygen with you?
One of our doctors is going to see if he can arrange it, because the insurance will pay for it, because in order for the insurance to pay for it, it needs to be a continually 88 and below.
Okay.
Okay, well hers at times could be 92, 93, but then sometimes it's 98. And
or
so,
sleep apnea.
Huh?
Or if you have sleep apnea, where you don't sleep at night, they give you oxygen too for that.
Right, and she doesn't have sleep apnea.
Oh, okay.
And so she doesn't qualify to have oxygen.
So tell me, what are your needs right now? What do you guys need? Do you need like extra care at home? Do you need, what is it that you need?
Well, what we need is for this trip and the one, whether we have to stay or whether we have to go back to Cincinnati, would be for the hotel to be paid. That's expensive.
Yeah.
To make sure that we have enough, money for her and I to eat and stuff, because obviously I'm not going to be able to work. Anyway.
Okay. And so really what you need now is funding.
I need funding.
You need the funding so that you can live while you're down there. And so how can we learn more? How can the viewers learn more of your situation, and where can they go to help?
Well, we have a GoFundMe account right now.
Okay.
And we're on Facebook.
Okay.
That's pretty much.
Okay, so, and we'll put that on the screen for the GoFundMe and the Facebook page. And there's another thing that you didn't mention that I thought was really cool, the YouTube video that you did last year. And are you thinking about doing another one maybe?
Yeah, I was planning on doing that one.
An updated one?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, I thought that was very well done. So, it's just who you are, and this is it. And
well, me and my best friend were talking, and then 5 minutes later, okay, let's do this. Okay. So it's just not planned. It's just right then and there.
Right.
So.
Well, I think that both of you are truly amazing people, and the fact that you have you know, gone through so much in your short life so far. I mean, you're only 22, and the amount of surgeries and the doctors and the hospitals and all the things that you've had to go through, the illnesses. There's so much that we take advantage of every day, or take, you know, take advantage of, and that is, you know, being around other people that are sick. You know, simple things as flying. You know, things that you can't do. And so I think the key is awareness to this disorder. And as rare as it is to have somebody, being the only one here in Oregon, which I think is amazing, you're a special person. And I think you standing up and talking and giving your story, I think is going to help other people, because there might be others out there that haven't been diagnosed because of the same problems that you guys went through. So maybe this will kind of spark something in someone else. And hopefully we can get some others to help. And that's my goal, the awareness and to help. And so I think that continue doing what you're doing, and we will definitely, I need you to definitely do another video, and your website, talk about your website that you have. You wrote it down, the Angel Fire website. What was that designed for? Who designed it, and what's going on that page?
Well, since I was doing all that research when Ashley was like 7 or 8 years old, I figured, you know what? This is kind of cool. And so I designed a website called Ashley's World of Wonders. And I wanted to do it for other parents with children with rare diseases. And so I have not kept it updated, but it was my baby. I was so proud of it because it was all about Ashley's disorder and everything about like hand links. I mean, because she's got hand abnormalities too. And so there was education links, and then I had like medical links, and like free airfare, I mean, angel flights and all that stuff. It was really important to me.
So then you haven't kept it updated over the last few years?
Yeah, the last couple of years.
Is that something that you're going to go back to and hopefully update?
Yeah, I just have to get the motivation.
Right.
I'm not as motivated as I was years ago. I'm just like, oh, but it takes time.
Yes. No, I understand. But just think, I mean, you're such a strong person and such a great mom. And I think that anyone would be just, I don't know, just lucky to have you as a mom. And you've done so much. I think all of us as parents, we want to do whatever it takes to help our kids. But let me tell you, Shilo, you have gone above and beyond by doing all these things. And that website, that just blows me away, that you put resources on there for other people to go to help other people. And so both of you are just such wonderful people, just wanting to help others. And I think it's amazing. So what do you want people to know about you personally? What would you like to say?
Well, I can do Halloween forever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You do Halloween forever?
Yeah.
All
One
right.
thing shirt, you can be Halloween, dress up, and get candy.
There you go. And so what are you going to dress up this Halloween?
I'm not going to be here. I'll be in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right. But you could still dress up, couldn't you?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be cool, though, being dressed up and going to the hospital?
Not really.
No.
When she was younger, yeah.
See, I'm just a big old kid, so, you know, I'm old, and so I would still dress up at my age, so. And so you have 10 or 11 more days before you leave.
Yes.
So then, like I said, we're going to put the GoFundMe page on there. We're going to put the website, Facebook, all that stuff. And so that way, if you're interested in learning more information about Ashley's disorder, please go to the GoFundMe page, which gives a very descriptive narrative about what you have and how other people can help. They're definitely needing some help, and the key is awareness as well. Learn, and if your children are going through something that are similar, or even if it's not similar symptoms, do research. You know, don't just rely on the doctors. And I think that you've kind of paved that way here. Don't just rely on doctors because they're doctors. They don't know everything, but you've done your research and you really helped with that diagnosis. And so that's kudos to you for doing that. I think it's important that we all do something similar and not take no for an answer.
Not take no for an answer. And in this day and age, I mean, with the internet, I mean, there on Facebook, there is a lot of support groups for parents whose children who have rare disorders and diseases. I mean, no longer do we as parents have to walk alone, sit in isolation. Because even if there's nobody in your area that has that, you know, your children's disorder, somebody does. And the internet, I have a support group worldwide for Shilo Young dysplasia and acromegaly, which are kind of like cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have got people in there from the UK, from Australia. We got them from France.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're worldwide now.
Yeah, we're worldwide.
All right. And then, so is there anything you would like to add that we didn't talk about, or you want to kind of touch on before we go? We have a few minutes left. And no? All right.
No, my only thing is that, you know, when you have to go through all this as a parent, and, you know, it's really important to have faith in God. It really is. It makes a huge difference. And that was to believe in God, to pray to God, you know, and to have Jesus, and it all makes the difference.
I'm so glad that you found what you found and found the peace that you needed, because it sounded like before you were going through some pretty horrific things, you know, and isolation is definitely not a good place to be. And people, you know, die of depression all the time. And so you've come out of that, and I think that's awesome. You stayed strong for yourself, you stayed strong for Ashley, and you've stayed strong for others. I believe you guys are meant to be here for many reasons, and one of the reasons is to help others by making them aware of these things and letting people know that they don't have to just sit down and take it. They can stand up and try to help and find out, you know, what's going on and how use all the resources that are available. And I think a lot of people don't know that there are those resources for everyone that's not in the medical field. So I think that's great. So I appreciate you guys being here and willing to take the time out of your day to talk to us and share your story. And I think it's important that other people know about it and hear about the things that you've gone through and what you're going through. But if there's one thing that you want people to know about you, what is that one thing before we go? Just one thing.
I'm fun size.
You're
Fun size.
fun size. And what was the other?
Bite size.
Bite size and fun size. How appropriate for the month of October for Halloween. So, okay, Ashley, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It's such a pleasure getting to know you. And Shilo, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being here. So, thank you so much for watching One-on-One with Aaron Collins. Been here with Ashley and Shilo Young. And until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good day.